Hey guys, today we're going to be ranking every single charm in Roblox Dig. Let's get to it. Dire Claws is a limited time charm that you get from digging during the Blood Moon. It's an unchisable charm, but it is pretty good for people who don't have boss apparatus. So for that, it goes into B tier because of its ability to do a slash that scales off your boss damage. Train Glove, you get it at the start of the game. Check it in D tier. Spiky Barrel. I've seen a lot of people use Spiky Barrel. It does decent boss damage, but it heavily relies on the fact that you get damaged in order to deal even more damage. Uh, it's not that good. And it's pretty pricey in terms of progression. So I would put this at C tier. There's definitely better stuff you can get like the boss apparatus, so not worth it. Momentum bands. This makes digging a lot more easier. It gives a lot of haste, and for every dig you do, you gain 0.75 control, but it's not as good for a mythic, considering the fact that it's there's no point in using it if you have a lot of strength or you're trying to get a strength build. So I'm gonna put it at A tier. Still a really good charm. The copper cowboy hat is pretty okay. People use it mainly for the one-shot build. I'm gonna put this at A tier simply because the one-shot build, I mean, it's a pretty endgame item. I think it's overrated. I'm gonna keep it at A tier, but just a low A tier, simply because like the luck for the one-shot build is pretty bad. I pulled one prismatic from it, but that's it. It's the luck from the one-shot build is bad when paired up with the Solstice shovel, just horrible. The strong lantern, it's a capacity charm. Usually, capacity charms aren't really useful because you have your vehicle and you have your flare. There's not really any point in having capacity charms. The heart monitor, it basically reduces damage whenever you miss. It's not good. Check it at D tier. There's better things you can buy. Now, the super regen coil for mid game, definitely get it to fight bosses, but end game there's definitely a better build you can use. It's useful for if you're doing a quest and if you're fighting bosses in groups. So definitely A tier. The golden heart, C tier. Basically what it does is it increases endurance for every legendary pull you get. Basically it's pretty useless overall since it just limits whatever you're trying to pull to just legendaries when you're just starting out the game. And when you're just starting out the game, you probably won't even have enough money to even afford golden heart. So for that, it's going into C tier simply because it's very, very situational. Boss apparatus is probably the must-have. I use it every single time I'm grinding bosses that isn't monstrosity. So for that, I will put that S tier. This pineapple hat heals endurance over time slightly. So it's basically like the Gilded Shovel's passive, but a little bit slightly like worse because it actually has pips that debuffs you. So it has around like 2 negative pips. I'm gonna put it at F tier because it doesn't even help with progression since you have to complete the journal in order to obtain it. The magnet stick is the most crappiest charm I've ever seen. A lame excuse for a charm. Doesn't even have any pips, and its ability doesn't even. There's no point in having it because it's not as efficient as you think it is. I've tried it out, dug 10 times with it. Not a single piece of loot was obtained, and it was even with a magnet shovel. It's like basically what I'm saying is magnet on a stick doesn't really do its job. It doesn't really give you that much loot. Prismatic Domino Crown is an endgame item. What it does is it boosts control, endurance, and strength by a lot, and it buffs the chances of getting chromatic by, I don't know, it's like 3,500%. So it's really good for if you're pairing it up with prismatic shovel because it has a synergy with that shovel. So I'm gonna put it at SS tier, but it is really hard to get. You do have to finish every single journal to actually get it. Out of die is F tier. Lame excuse for a charm again, just like the magnet stick. It has no pips and it grants a high chance for a modifier, an exclusive modifier, red, green, and blue. But the modifiers provide like below average multipliers. I think it's like a little below 30%, so it's not good at all. This one, just a cosmetic. This one's also just a cosmetic. You get both of these in Cinder Cavern. Fuzzball's Foot is a charm that you get from defeating Fuzzball. It's not a guaranteed chance, it's really hard to get. It increases luck. One pip increases the base luck, and then another pip increases it by a percentage by half the amount. But because it is a 3-pip charm, it's a little bit of a pain to actually get good upgrades on it. So I'm going to put it at a B tier. And not only that, there's better builds. Usually luck builds containing charms like these aren't really that good, especially for progression, so I wouldn't recommend it. Lantern, F tier. Dynamite Stash is a endgame charm that provides a low chance to give 2 times damage per hit. But it doesn't have any additional pips, so for that, it goes into D tier. It's also a endgame item that you get from completing Cinder Cavern's journal, so it's not good in any aspect. Next is the Jar of Jam. The Jar of Jam is a charm that you get in Verdant Vale, next to the Jam Shovel. It's pricey, but for an early game item, it's not bad because it gives haste, and I forgot what it also gives, but it also has a synergy with Jam Shovel. So I'm gonna put it at B tier. The same goes for the Jar of Peanut Butter, but this one has slightly better upgrades. Both of these being paired up with Jam Shovel used to be really OP, but since they got gutted, they're both B tier, especially in terms of progression. There's better things you could get with it, but if you buy this, it's still not bad in case you don't have anything to use. Next is the Archer Hat. The Archer Hat is D tier. It's an endgame item almost. It depends on whenever you finish Verdant Vale journal. It's really bad. It gives pips that are really disappointing. It's not good overall. So it's in D tier. Next we have this I forgot what it's called. Don't want to remember what it's called because it's trash capacity charm, just like all the others. This is probably one of the better capacity charms. Not only does it look kind of cool, but it provides it gives the most amount of storage than all these other capacity charms. So at the end of the day, if you're gonna look for more capacity, then this is probably your go-to. Though it is an endgame item because you have to finish the Woodland Journal in order to get this charm. So next is the Radioactive Horns. The Radioactive Horns is a little bit weird because not only is it kind of rare, being that it's a boss charm, but it has good pips that just doesn't really work. It has an ability to convert some petrified and some plasma modifiers to radioactive, but the radioactive modifier is less than 2x%, and it's only a chance for it to convert plasma and petrified, so it's actually not that good. So for that, I'll put that at C tier simply because it's really disappointing, especially in terms of pips, in which it's almost like impossible to get an SS pip in Radioactive Horns. Next, the Magma Boots. My bad. The Magma Boots is a kind of a must-have because you need it in order to progress the game into Mount Charcoal. So this kind of automatically goes into SS tier, but as a charm itself alone, it's a pretty good mobility charm, especially when you pair it up with something like the Super Gravity Coil. And speaking of the Super Gravity Coil, this coil is a must-have. I'm gonna put it at S. It's pretty underrated because for free-to-play players, it's really useful since you could just start gliding around whenever your car crashes into something or you're stuck. Or if you want to dig up a rocky cliff, for example, your shovel has a preference for rock, and there's many shovels that prefer rock, like Prismatic Shovel and Starfire Shovel. You can jump onto that cliff and just start digging there. So overall, very useful Super Gravity Coil. And this is just basically a downgrade of Super Gravity Coil, but it's really cheap. You can get early game, but the jump power isn't nearly as much. So for that, I'll put that at C tier. Blue Mushroom Hat. I've seen a lot of people use it. I don't personally have any experience on using the Blue Mushroom, but it is free. You can find it in Azure Hollow by finishing the quest, and it gives a good amount of boss damage. So as an early game boss damage charm, you could probably use it to finish combat goat quests and stack up on the permanent buffs. So I'll put that at a good A tier. It also has an ability to grant an exclusive modifier on each item that you dig up, which is Blurple, which is also kind of nice. Next is the Farmer's Hat. The Farmer's Hat actually gives good pips, but it doesn't have an ability on its own, so it's a pretty good early game charm that you can complete. It's also completely free for if you complete a quest, so you don't have to grind a lot of money to purchase this charm like all the other charms up on here. So it also goes on a high A tier. The bag capacity charm, F tier. The blazing gauntlet is an endgame charm that you get for completing the Mount Charcoal journal. This one is basically better than the magma boots, but it's not really needed for progression. It's just basically the energy charm, but with added control and access to the Mount Charcoal. So while you have this on, you get free extra strength alongside being able to walk in Mount Charcoal without taking any damage. So it's pretty good for straight up grinding. It's pretty good for straight up fighting the monstrosity boss. So I'm gonna put this at the high end of S tier. The Banjo is an early game charm that you can also find in Verdant Vale. You can find it next to the guy who gives out the farmer hat in the barn. It's the Banjo NPC who gives a quest to find his music sheets, and once you dig all of them up, you get this Banjo. And basically, what it does is it gives good pips, gives a lot of endurance on top of granting a luck ability. So for that, it actually is an A tier charm for early mid game. The log is I forgot where you get this from, but you definitely get this from completing a journal. I think it's Verdant Vale. It's either Verdant Vale or Woodlands. It grants base luck, just like the Fuzzball foot, but it only grants base luck. So it's gonna grant like probably +3, +4 total luck. It's not really that good. Typically, luck charms aren't really that good at all, but it's definitely better than all the bells that are in the game. So I'm gonna put this at C tier because it doesn't help with progression at all. Next is Sydney's Katana. Sydney's Katana, you could get this for completely free. You don't have to grind any money to purchase it. You get it from a quest near the lighthouse. And what it does is it gives a lot of control, especially useful for if you're fighting bosses or if you're having a little bit of trouble hitting strongs. I'm gonna put this at B tier, simply because it's kind of a skill issue. We start using this. It's still a good charm though. Next is the shield. The shield is a good charm for early game, but it's a must-have for if you are using Beast Slayer or if you are basically just in the end game, because it also synergies with the Ninja Headband. So without one or the other, these guys probably wouldn't be in SS tier, because the Ninja Headband synergizes with the shield, and the and the Beast Slayer synergizes with the Ninja Headband. So really, just these three are like the three musketeers for melting bosses, and so is this guy as well. The Fortune Bell, this one, it's not that good. It synergizes with Bell Shuffle, but it grants a lot of luck, but there's not really anything you can do with that luck, since generally builds with this charm are really lacking in strength, and they're really lacking in endurance. So I'm gonna put this at C tier. The Flower Crown is probably one of my favorite charms because it gives very good pips and buffs. It's a little bit of a pain to upgrade, but it's worth it. Its ability is to guarantee a modifier. Any item that you dig up without a modifier is instantly converted into a petrified version of that item. So I think that's really cool. You could probably pair it up with radioactive horns, but I wouldn't recommend it simply because radioactive horns is pretty bad. But S tier item, must have. And it's pretty easy to get if you've already discovered all the trees. The Tenacity Brace is a must-have item. I think this charm is probably the reasons why you're gonna see people have dig streaks above 1,000. I think the last time I've unequipped this charm, 300 digs later, I just lost my streak because this charm gives so much endurance, and its ability grants a second chance. So if you lose the item, it revives you to half HP, and you're almost guaranteed a strong hit after the revive. So it's practically reviving you to full HP at that point, unless you've really messed up. But besides that, this is SS. Probably must have. Probably gonna put it like right next to the top. The Cauldron hat is mythical that you can purchase from a traveling merchant. I'm gonna put this at SS tier because it's the best charm for whenever you're trying to get a 2-tap or a 3-tap build. and I think it's also required for if you're trying to get a one-shot build as well. Rock Pounder is one of the best progression charms. You can purchase it from Foxtown. Its ability is very, very OP. Basically what it does is it grants 25% strength on rock ground. So you're going to be using this with Rock Shovel, you're going to be using this with Ruby Shovel. And with Rock Shovel, it grants a synergy. I forgot what it does, but it's pretty overpowered. So I would purchase, if you're starting out the game, I would purchase Rock Pounder and immediately head into Cinder Caverns. Probably one of my favorite charms. I'm gonna put this at a high S tier. Not a high S tier. Yeah, no, a high S tier. Simply because of its progression alone. And it's a scarce too. The Rock Pounder also gives a lot of endurance as well, and some boss damage. The Haste Coil grants a lot of haste. It's really good if you're struggling to hit charms, but just hit the basic hits, and you just hate being on cooldown. It's really good for if you pair it up with Cauldron, because Cauldron has negative... It decreases your haste by a little bit. So if you're grinding and you can't really manage out strongs or very... or if you're lacking some strength, I think Haste Coil is your way to go. So I'm going to put that at A tier. The Blood Crown is a charm that you get from the Meteor for 100k. It's probably one of the worst divine charms you can possibly get. It synergizes with Monstrous Shovels. Its gimmick is that you take less damage whenever you miss a hit, but it's sort of like a skill issue sort of charm, and even then it doesn't even lessen the damage by that much. So I'm going to put it at a good F tier, simply because of how useless it is in progression. And it has negative pips as well, so it's not good at all. The Solstice spell, it synergizes with Solstice Shovel, but it is a bell. It does grant luck. Usually 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be able to do anything with that luck. And I don't really think you can even use it in the one-shot build as well. So I'm going to put this at B tier. But it does give Solstice Shovel a hefty amount of control, so I think that's pretty good. This bell, I forgot what it's called, but it also synergizes with the Bell Shovel. Also doesn't really do anything, so I'm going to put it at C tier. Energy Apparatus, it's a must-have in early game. It grants a lot of luck. I think it's like about 20%. Or not luck. It grants a lot of strength. I think about 20%. It's around 2 pips of strength, each maxing out at 10%. So it's actually not that painful to chisel. But it's definitely a little bit worse than the Blazing Gauntlet, since it gives the same stats. But even then, it's a very good stat booster. So for that, in terms of progression, it's a top A tier. The Ice Picks is kind of a mid-game, end-game charm. You get it from completing the Cinder Mountain journal. It grants base strength, so for that, I really wouldn't recommend it if you have something like Starfire, or you have Prismatic Shovel with the Domino Crown. So for that, I'll put it at a high A tier. But it's a really good substitute for Cauldron Hat or the Importance. Speaking about the Importance, I'll probably put Importance at around A tier. It's a good substitute for the Cauldron Hat, though it does decrease endurance over time, so it's a little bit risky. The Devil Horns also gives 1 strength pip that buffs it by a lot, and because of that, it's really, really easy to chisel and get good upgrades from it. So for that, I'll put it at S tier. But if you're using this, definitely pair it up with this one. Or if you're not going to pair it up with a good endurance charm, you are probably going to be better off pairing it up with all your strength charms, because you don't want to risk losing it if you can't hit everything and complete the minigame in time. Next is the Vision Goggles. The Vision Goggles I've heard some people speak really highly of, but me personally, I got really bad pips on it very early game, but they did decrease the price of it, so it's much easier to get. So it really just depends on your luck if you get good endurance. It also has the ability to grant you, it also grants you the ability to see the next box in the minigame. I don't know how you can kind of use that, since haste kind of just is a factor to how effective this is. So me personally, I would probably put this at the top of B tier. I think Rock Pounder definitely wins this one if you're trying to get a early game charm. It looks cool though. Double Pow, you automatically know, S tier. Best charm in the game. Ectoplasm Sleeve is a charm that you're probably going to get mid-game. Definitely get this while you're grinding for Frigid Shovel, because it has a gives 20% chance to grant you a plasma modification. It's also a very good safety charm, granting you endurance and control. I think like around 18% on each pip. So it's really good for grinding towards Frigid Shovel. So for a progressive charm, I'll probably put this at A tier, simply because it's really good for progress. A Magic Hat is a charm that grants you a lot of jump power. It also has the gimmick to it also, by the charm itself, gives you a higher chance to pull a modifier, but it doesn't really help that much in terms of the minigame. Like, it doesn't give any endurance, it doesn't give any strength, so it's more considered a it's more useful as a mobility charm. So for that, I'll put that at A tier, but it's still pretty useful if you want more jump power. Next is the weightlifting belt. This weightlifting belt is really useful early game. If you have a lot of trouble pulling out like things like legendaries and mythics, this is probably gonna be your go-to charm because it grants a lot of endurance. So for that, I'll probably chuck that into A tier, simply because it's really good for progressing the game. I'm probably gonna have one of them only be the Regen Coil, the normal one. So I think the normal Regen Coil will probably be at B tier, probably better off, or C tier. You're probably better off just saving up for the Super Regen Coil. The Control Glove grants a lot of control, pretty good for early game, really solid. I'll put that at B tier. Pro Necklace, it gives a lot of luck and it gives a lot of endurance. It's pretty cheap in Cinder Shores. I'll probably put this in C tier. If you don't have any accessories, or if you can't get any useful ones, then I guess you could use this one, but I wouldn't recommend it. Finally, we have the Umbrella Hat. This one I think you get from completing the Cinder Shores journal. It gives a lot of jump power, and I think it's the only charm that decreases gravity. So in terms of mobility, it's a really good mobility charm. I would put this at the bottom of A tier. Yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is probably my first video making. This is probably my first Roblox Dig video. I'm not gonna lie to you, so I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. If you guys think any charm is like underrated, or if I just miss rating any of these charms, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's all for today.